Okay, I just did a video about all this stuff and didn't realize I only have a 10-minute limit, so I'm restarting this all over. Alright, so you're going to see a lot of stuff missing if you're using this, the sheet that you just downloaded. All I simply did, I'm not trying to insult anybody's intelligence here, was hide sheets, alright? So if it's not relevant to what I'm doing, I just don't want it on here. It's pretty cluttered. So if I go to unhide, you're going to see all the documents that were originally on the tabs down here. I just hid them. Quickly go over this. These plus symbols up here, these are our grouped cells that are used for designing our workout cards. I just group them and then close them, so when I go to print off, it's not a complete mess and I'm using multiple pages just to print off our workout. I'll just go over the important stuff here initially, then we'll get more in depth into it. Here's our cycle selector. You're going to see all 4 training cycles. Our week selectors, week 1, 2, 3, 4. So week 2 stuff's on this side, week 1 stuff's on this side. Here's where I select all my exercise info. You're going to see this here a little bit later on. So I'm just going to close that for now. This works the same way for your 3 and 4 day templates. So let's get initial start with programming. I'm going to close this so we can go over that. So you're going to see I come over here, there's reference, this looks like a lot of stuff, alright? So I got my cycles, I got my weekly undulating, and I got my daily undulating. And then this tables up here, all these are the predicted volumes from the information that I'm going to put in on the other side. The zones of intensity, you'll see these on your workout cards when you're developing your training sessions. Training classifications, you're going to see this as we go to plan out the volume. It's gray down here, but when we use our actual training, which you guys will see on tables down here, they will be color coded. So let's start off. All right, so cycle 1, you can plan 1 cycle at a time if you want, or you can plan all 4 of them. If you're going to plan all 4 of them, just make sure you are on the cycle you want to be, because cycle 3 will pull cycle 3 here. You got to pay attention to that stuff. So you don't want to leave it on cycle 1 and then you're down here planning cycle 3 and you're not using the right information. This is our starting volume. If you want to change this, or if you want to add more, so if you want to have 500 repetitions, all you need to do is go to data, data validation, and you just plug the number in there and then it'll show up. Hit OK, and then it'll be part of the drop-down menu here. We have a 3-day training program. I'm a strong believer in only 3-day lifting program. We don't start with a monthly volume of 800 reps, because by the time cycle 3 happens, we're going to be at 970 reps. If we hit 1,000 repetitions or more, we got to transition to a 4-day training program, so we do not overtrain our athletes or get training-related injuries from it. So we're going to assume, for the sake of this series, we're working with more of a novice group of athletes. So let's go 750. You're going to see each volume, or each cycle, is going to do a 10% increase in volume. Cycle 4 reduces by 25% of cycle 3. You do not have to add volume for every cycle, especially if you're working with novice athletes. So you can literally delete the formula here and just put 750, 750, 750, and then as long as cycle 4 is a reduction from what cycle 3 is, you'll be fine. But I'm just going to leave that for the sake of simplicity. Alright, so underneath the 0% here, so this goes up to 100. Ultimately what this is like a gas tank. So however much percent we allocate to each movement, you're going to see how much total of the tank is filled, and that's going to apply for each cycle. I'm only going to go 1 cycle at a time, so we're not going to plan all 4 cycles here. So let's go. Cycle 1 is going to be a strength-oriented cycle. So that being said, we're not going to really utilize much of the Olympic movements besides maybe pulls. So I'm just going to go, to make this simple, 25, 25, 25. We can go 20 there. So if this is strength oriented, you got to figure out what are the movements that are priority to you in your program. Well, I like squats, and if we're going strength oriented, I believe that's going to be one of our better ones and the priority exercise we're going to use. So I'm going to allocate 30% to that. 25% to presses, 20% for pulls. This is going to be primarily to work on the Olympic lifting technique. So when we go into catching it, they'll be proficient at doing pulls and high pulls. Then we got posterior chain. Both of these train the posterior chain. The exercises you use, you have to be wary of because we don't want to put a ton of stress on athletes' lumbar spines. So me personally, for posterior chains, other than a trap bar deadlift, I like to use hip lift variations, whether it be shoulder elevated or foot elevated, because we take the stress off the lumbar spine. I'm just doing a time check here. Okay, I still got time. Just do whatever works for you. The big thing is principles of training. If I believe squats one of the best exercises or one of my priority exercises in my program, well, my allocation of percentages better show that. So what you're seeing here is 30% of 750 reps, 225 reps of this are going to go to squatting, and it works that way down the list. So now I got what exercises I primarily want to use. Oh, one important note on this. Never go above 25% in a movement category unless you're only using a select few movements. There has to at least also be, there has to be a minimum of 7% in a movement category for it to work. Otherwise, you're going to have some days for that movement that are not going to have a minimal effective dose of training, so you're not going to get much out of the athletes at all. So it has to have a minimum of 7%. We only have 4 movements here, so we can go above 25%. We're going to be fine. You can switch these up however you want to, but this is just like off this, the system, Soviet periodization adapted for the American strength coach. Undulating periodization, so we use a moderate high volume, high volume, and a light volume. This is for volume, not intensity. You're going to see our cycle volumes down here. So cycle 1, 750 reps. We're going to use 28% of 750 for our first week. And that's how we get our undulating pattern. Our training days, make sure it's on the cycle I want. This is drop down, so I want to plan for cycle 1. Stay in there. Originally this was 42% and this was 34%. The problem I was having was some of our guys would come into session 2 after having 42% on day 1 and they were sore from the higher volume. So we just simply switched day 1 and day 3. So our higher volumes on a Friday, so it gives our guys 2 days of recovery before they come back and train again. I'm not worried about any type of soreness affecting their ability to train, because usually day 2 is going to be our higher intensity, whether it be a strength day or an explosive type day. But do what works best for you. This works best for me. So we got weekly undulating periodization and we got daily undulating periodization. All the stuff here is now based off of the percentages that you put in for the movement categories. So I don't have anything on the Olympic lifts except for pulls. That's fine. That's how I want it to show up. So this is predicted volume. Now we got our group cells right here. So if I want to plan for cycle 1, it's going to be this first one right here. And like I was saying, you got to make sure you're on the right one, because I don't want to be on cycle 2, planning for cycle 2, and then typing it down here, because my workout cards are going to pull all the information from these tables and not these tables. So whatever you put in here is going to be used for your actual workouts. Color codes right here, so it's light color codes. We're going to go back over here just so you see this. It goes with light sessions. So as we start to put in the repetitions and all that stuff, you're going to see some of these colors change. Our next video will go over actually putting the information in here and make our first training cycle.